Conspiracy theories, eh? Wait till you get a load of this. Hello, and welcome to Correct Sisters Conspiracies. We are a podcast that covers conspiracy theories, mysteries, and all over spooky shit. My name is Cassandra.
And I'm Jackie.
And we are said sisters.
What's up?
What's up? You got a new truck today.
I did. That's exciting.
That is very exciting.
Yeah, so Alex bought me a truck, essentially.
Old switcheroo, giving up your old one for a new one because he's a giant. And
He is. He does not fit in here. And instead of buying a reliable vehicle, when his first truck took a shit, he bought a 1997 Ford that doesn't have an engine and has been driving that to work / breaking down every day.
Sure.
So this is where we are.
Okay, well, that is very exciting. I was fearful that you got another animal or he permanently maimed himself. I don't know.
No,
So,
just a vehicle.
just a vehicle. Well, that's still very exciting nonetheless.
I agree.
Yeah, so tomorrow we'll gather for our annual lemon ball,
Easter extravaganza.
Easter extravaganza. We're celebrating a day early just so, because we all have to work and it's all good. But yeah, we're going to get drunk and smash some lemons with a baseball bat.
It is tradition.
It is tradition. I don't remember how long ago it started.
Probably at least, 4 years, 5 years.
It's been.
Did we do it with Brian?
Maybe. We had kind of done it as kids jokingly, but I don't know when it became a full-on thing.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure I have pictures of Gracie participating when she was teeny tiny.
That's true. So maybe it's been 5 years.
At least, yeah. But yeah.
And then we also do an Easter egg hunt, one for the child, one adult Easter egg hunt.
Boozy Easter egg hunt.
We fill the little Easter eggs with the pocket shots and we go crazy and try to kill each other.
Yeah, our dad engineered and cut out all the holes to fit them perfectly. It's a little
fun.
weird when I explain it to people. No, it is super fun. But I explain it to people who are what the fuck?
What else are you going to do?
Right? It's Easter.
How else do you honor Jesus' birthday?
That's Christmas, you dummy.
What's Easter?
Easter's he rose from the dead and all of that. I went to Catholic school and I remember nothing.
Okay, how else do you celebrate Jesus' resurrection?
There you go. You party with pocket shots and lemon ball and
you get a little lemon juice in your eye.
A little.
It just rains down on you.
Grayson asked if she could have science experiment goggles to wear tomorrow.
Well, she maybe hits the ball. Otherwise, she hasn't been playing the best league.
No, but I feel this is going to be her year.
So what are we discussing today?
We are discussing Mr. Tupac Shakur today. California love.
Oh man, I should have worn bandana today.
No, so I have my Jenny from the Block hoops.
You're very 90s.
I am
today.
90s. I got my combat boots, a crocheted vest duster. It's a look.
It is.
And I am drinking, so my alter ego might come out, but I have to be careful.
Shall we take some of the shots?
Sure. Some banana rum.
Banana rum.
Is that what
delicious.
it is? You're already double fisting with your shooter.
I mean, it really doesn't require a chaser, but I like chasers.
Yeah.
It's just warm.
That's what the problem is.
Yeah.
I'm fairly
It's
certain
delicious.
the last time we had this, I drank half the bottle myself.
I think so, because I did not get any of that bottle that time.
And I remember saying, "Ew, this is gross."
And then you continued
Give me
to drink
more.
And then mom, you know what it was? It was when we had mom, dad, Bev, Bill over. Alex still lived here because it was for Father's Day, or it's when dad.
Oh, it was that day.
It was that day
Got
because
it.
I got to take 5 shots of this.
That makes sense. That tracks. But my alter ego, I have to keep her in check because I have this habit of getting a little ghetto when I drink.
Oh, is that so?
My spicy side comes out, but if I don't keep her in check, I am fairly certain it's going to get me shot like Mr. Tupac was. I almost got my ass beat in West Hollywood one year dressing as a chola for
Oh my gosh, I love that
Halloween.
one. That is my favorite Halloween photo of you and Evan. That's before you, back in the day when you could do, racial stereotypes,
was
you would
over a
definitely get canceled today.
decade ago. And yeah,
shot,
I
yeah.
went into the bathroom in Hustler in West Hollywood. It was the Halloween parade. We were chola'd out, chola, like our Neil and Kim,
Yeah.
our roommates at the
I remember
time,
them.
came with us. And yeah, some woman like caught me coming out of the bathroom and threatened to beat my Wonder Bread white ass. And I have never been so scared in my life.
Wow, you gotta at least embody it if you're gonna dress like it.
No.
Oh my gosh.
No, but yeah, I do have that picture framed.
I do love that picture.
Because it is a great yet terrifying memory. So we, like I said, are talking about Tupac today. Some suspect that even though, as you will hear, it is documented that he is no longer with us. Allegedly, there are some out there that believe that he is still alive.
Yep.
And, living his, I wouldn't say best life if he is like in hiding, as some think that he might be.
Well, how is life in Cuba?
I mean, is he in Cuba? Or is he in Malaysia? Or is
And
he...
I also heard New Mexico.
See? So
I don't think those were necessarily bad places to live.
New Mexico just conjures images of Heisenberg and meth heads.
I never watched that.
I know you didn't.
The first season fucking sucked.
No,
I could not.
With you.
I tried 3 times
to watch Breaking Bad.
The first season was so slow. I hate Skylar. And it wouldn't go anywhere. And then the guy's name was Tuco, which was really throwing me off.
Okay, that's fair.
Tuco is the name of my first dog that's dead.
It was the last family dog that made an impression.
So the fact that there was a bad guy with that name was throwing me off. And it was just so slow. And Mom's like, you can't get past the first season. Everyone said that. If you have to get past the first season, a show is not worth watching.
That's not true. Think about Parks and Recreation.
I don't watch that show.
Take you to the end of the earth to prove a point that is
I
probably
don't like that
the
show.
best comedic show there is, with The Office. Anywho, fuck you.
No.
Okay.
You're wrong
we
everywhere.
are getting so off track already. We are talking about Tupac, not Tuco from Breaking Bad. Let's bring it back.
Okay.
So yes, he was a little before your time, and honestly, he was a little bit before my time too. He was late 80s, early 90s is when his, moment happened. You were just born, essentially, right before he died.
Yeah, right before, the year before.
And I was in elementary school, so it wasn't even anything that I had on my radar until probably high school.
And in elementary school, we were living in Newbury Park?
No, we were still in Simi.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I'm like,
you definitely weren't listening to Tupac.
I was not. And even as I got older, there was not a chance in hell that I could have listened to something like that.
No.
Unless
I couldn't even listen to Eminem.
I remember asking Mom, can I please get a Beastie Boys CD? And she was like, absolutely not. And
they let me buy an Eminem CD in Florida, visiting grandma. I was 17.
You were almost an adult at that point.
And they made me get the edited version.
Oh my God.
I'm like, this is gay.
That is rich. No. Okay, we have to be careful with the words that we use, not to offend.
This is dumb.
This is bullshit. But yeah, so that was definitely not something that was in our house growing up. I mentioned it before, Wonder Bread White. We grew up in Southern California suburbia.
Strictly classic rock.
Strictly middle class. I had a classic rock upbringing, and then I went hard left into the pop punk emo.
Yes.
And that essentially took over our life. But yeah, I was exposed to the music of one Mr. Tupac from VH1 and MTV.
Yeah.
The specials on who he was and who shot Tupac and all of that jazz. But yeah, so California Love, probably the most notable song. And I don't know if it's because we have that bias having lived in California.
So when I lived in Ohio, I would hear that song and it would make me homesick. Even though it's talking about fucking Compton and Watts. It's literally not our California.
It is not our California.
But it just would make me miss California.
Yeah, sure. So it's kind of like a quasi anthem.
A little bit,
people who live here.
I would agree with that.
If you take out the content. When the
if
content,
disregard the whole entire
disregard
song.
everything. He was a big proponent for rights and all of that. There was a lot of bullshit and gang violence going on that he was
What was he? Blood or Crip?
He wasn't affiliated with either one, but he had ties to people who were, and that's something we'll.
Okay.
So I'm kind of just gonna give some background on his whole, rise to fame and
Sorry.
Demise. Are you okay?
Yeah, that shot made me do a pirate eye.
Jeez. Oh, it makes me think of my dead dog.
That's the theme of the day. The second dead dog in 10 minutes.
Samson used to get this pirate eye right before he sneezed, and it's still like too soon. He died like 2 years ago, and I'm not over it. But that's so. Anywho, as I was saying, California Love, that's like the most notable song,
Yes.
at least especially for Californians. I was listening to like the greatest hits this morning to familiarize myself.
Did you know any of it?
I'm a white bitch. I don't know. Like, there were a couple of songs that I've heard that I didn't realize were Tupac.
Okay.
Like, there's the song Changes that I've heard. And if you heard it, you would know.
I know it.
But I'm like, oh, I didn't know that was him. And I'm like, that's a good song. But yeah, so I'm a total idiot. I, for the most part, had no idea like what he was or who he was.
Okay.
But yeah, apparently he was like one of the most influential rappers of all time.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Yeah. He had like huge record sales, at least in, the rap industry for that time. He sold like 75 million records. Yeah. Like our bestie, Britney Spears, who we have, run into a time or two.
I have not, but you have.
I have. But yeah, we have come across paths with her. She sold like 100 million records.
And how many did you say, Tupac? 70?
75 million.
That's pretty good.
I mean, it's not bad comparatively. I think the Beatles are in the top ranks of like 200 and something.
Okay.
But I mean, like,
still comparable.
It's still pretty good, I would say. But yeah, so some kind of background on who he was. So he was born in New York in the early 70s. I don't know why.
New York?
New York. I don't know why I said it like that. New York. He was like Harlem. That's where he grew up. And then...
Oh, I assumed he grew up in California.
That's what I thought too. But no, he was born in New York on the East Coast, and then he, I think, went to Baltimore for a while, and then he made his way out to like the Bay Area in
my future home
in the early 80s. So he was young. He was probably 17 or 18 by the time he made it to the California side of things, and that's where he got his start. So he released his first album, which was the Tupacalypse Now. He had been in California maybe 3 years or so. So that was like early 90s, 91, I think.
Okay.
And from that point on, he was just pumping out records pretty consistently every, I would say, 1 to 3 years.
And was it Death?
So he was not affiliated with Death Row at that point. That was just his start. So he got his debut album out. And then it was like 91, 93, 95. This was the time frame that we're working with. So all of this happened essentially early to mid 90s. So it was a more abbreviated amount of time than I thought it was.
Yeah, I thought he was big for like 20 years.
A lot longer. I think
he was only like
he's
25.
bigger, I think, like post-mortem and like posthumously. Is that how you say that? Like after death. Yeah.
Post-mortem.
So like he's garnered a lot more fame in the end. But no, he was rocking it. And like at the same time that he was getting his music career going, he was also acting. Like he totally leaned into the California life, Hollywood. He was in a bunch of movies. I admittedly have never seen any of them, but at a glance, his IMDb profile, which is my holy grail, was a lot more, impressive than I thought it would be. I've heard of a couple of the things that he's been in, but I know for a fact that I haven't seen them. He was just killing it. And I mean, but there was a lot of other shit that was going on at the same time. But again, this was when we were little kids, so it's not like it was on our radar.
Yeah.
And
he's a June baby like me.
What is your astrological sign?
It's a Gemini.
That's what I thought.
That bullshit. Sorry, not sorry. If you believe in astrology, I'm going to punch you in the face.
I mean, I'm a Libra though, and like so much of it rings true. Everyone loves me, and I'm amazing. I'm just kidding, but I definitely try to avoid conflict and keep things balanced. So
I mean, I'm crazy, but that's not the point. I'd be crazy whether or not I was a Gemini.
That is true. Okay, it's early 90s. He's killing it. He's releasing, album after album. He's starring in movies. But the bigger you get, sometimes you get a little too big for your britches and shit goes sideways. He's done some time for sexual abuse
I did see that.
Charges. I think the word sodomy was thrown around in there, which is
butt stuff.
That is butt stuff. Yeah, so not so great.
He denied the charges. I did read that.
He did, but we'll circle back to that a little bit later. He did like 8 months or so for these charges, and so it was at this time, this in between time, that he became affiliated with Suge Knight and Death Row Records.
And Suge Knight was associated with a gang.
He was, yeah. So he was from Compton. He was a Blood member.
Okay.
And yeah, red is not my color. Blue is my color, but I can't be a Crip either. Although we are going to the Dodger game, and I have to rock blue in LA next weekend. Next
fun.
Saturday. Yeah.
I haven't been to a Dodger game forever.
Gracie's never been, so that'll be fun.
The last one technically I went to was in Ohio, and it was the Indians versus the Dodgers, and I was the only person wearing Dodger gear, and we won, and everyone fucking hated me.
That's amazing. That is amazing.
It was fun.
Yeah, I think the last game I went to was last year. It was an event where we were taken out, so we got like bougie ass baseline seats.
That's nice.
It pays.
I have
to
a
be
jersey with
finance.
my last name if you would like to wear it.
Evan has one too, and he's like, "Why would you get me a jersey with our last name? I never played for the Dodgers."
So that's what I said too. It was a gift, so I said thank you, and I wore it.
I stopped doing customized things. I learned early on not to do that.
Okay, so Suge Knight.
So yeah, he became affiliated with Death Row Records, Suge Knight, and so at this time there was this brouhaha going on between East Coast and West Coast rappers. Like there was this rivalry that was building, and so rappers on the West Coast, California, Compton, LA area, so that was more your Suge Knight with Death Row and, Tupac, a couple other people affiliated. And then East Coast was Biggie Smalls, P. Diddy or Puff Daddy or Sean Puffy Combs, whatever he goes by these days. I don't know. So they were East Coast, and that was Bad Boy Records. Okay. And so there was a lot of beef between the two.
Did Tupac identify as a West Coast rapper?
He did. But he's one of those, he can go like both ways.
But he was in prison.
Allegedly he could go both ways. I mean, he's dead. What's going to happen? But yeah.
Allegedly.
I know. He was New York born, but he fled and went to California. Okay. But in the end, he chose the California life. He was totally enamored with it here. I mean, it is amazing. It also fucking sucks. Yeah. But, yeah. So like New York rappers, they definitely felt like they were the OGs. They thought they were the ones to beat, and West Coast rappers also felt the same way. Mm-hmm. So it's fucking dick swinging bullshit. Yeah. It is stupid. I don't know why people choose to fight over the things that they do, but it resulted in death. They took it very seriously. There was murder, lots of violence over who was a better rapper, who had it the hardest. I grew up in Harlem, so clearly I've had it worse than you. Well, I grew up in Compton. Both y'all fucking suck. Like your upbringing is not you personally. Over the course of this time period, early to mid 90s, this rivalry is building. And amongst all of this, Tupac had been in New York. He had a schedule that he was going to go to a studio there and do some recording. And as he was entering this big New York building where the studio was, there were some members of an East Coast affiliation. They're called the Junior Mafia. They're, affiliated with Bad Boy Records and all of that. So he saw them and they exchanged pleasantries, whatever. And then shortly after he walked into the building, these two guys walked in and held up the place, and they're like, everyone get fucking down, this and that. Tupac didn't want to follow the rules, and his motherfucking ass got shot. He got shot 5 times. Okay. And he lived to tell the tale.
There you go.
So first responders came and they put him on a gurney, and as they're taking him out, more people had kind of come across. It's a studio. There's people going in and out. And again, he's on the East Coast. And so there's Biggie Smalls that miraculously appears in front of this building after all of this happened. Some other Bad Boy Records folks were there. And so as he's being wheeled out on a gurney, he sees all these people. So he's giving him the bird as he's going into the ambulance. Just okay, there's clearly issues going on. Why do you have to throw gas in the fire?
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair,
he
did just get shot by them.
He did. So it's like,
I would be flipping them off too.
I mean, and it's all a little sus. I'm going to record at a studio that's well known to everyone around. And then I see people from that rival label, hey, how's it going? And then like however much time elapsed, now I get fucking shot.
That's
It's a little
suspicious.
sus. But yeah, so after this whole incident, there's a couple of things that happen.
Okay.
So the day after the shooting happens is when he ends up getting convicted for those
sexual
crimes before, for the
Okay.
sexual abuse charges, and his ass gets thrown in Rikers Island. So he
That's an
he
interesting
goes to prison.
Okay.
While he was locked up, there was an opportunity for him to have an interview with Vibe magazine, which was, I don't know if it's still around, but
I've
it was,
never heard
it
of
was
it.
a big deal at the time. In this interview, he implied that Biggie Smalls, Puff Daddy, and this other record head at the time had been the ones that had orchestrated the shooting.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's not hard to connect the dots
Of course,
from
yeah.
them being there to the incident. So I can totally see where he was coming from. After he gave that interview, but before it had been published, Puff Daddy or P. Diddy or whoever he wants to go by, because all of them have so many fucking names, I can't keep track, came to visit him at Rikers and was like, I just want to let you know that we didn't have anything to do with this. It wasn't us. So I'm like, okay, I don't know.
And they did that meeting prior to that interview being released?
Prior to the interview being released,
Okay.
but after it had been had. So I don't know if they even knew that like he was running off, spouting his mouth saying they fucking did it,
Yeah.
whatever. And so then the article gets released. And then shortly after, Notorious B.I.G., he releases this track called Who Shot Ya?
Okay. I love the fact that these big, grown-ass gangster men, their way of retaliation is like, I'm going to write a song about you.
Right?
No, I'm going to write a song about you. And it's just so funny to me that that's how they retaliate, is by like diss tracks each other.
So fucking
It's adorable.
It's passive aggressive as all hell. But I get it, because who wants to actually confront an issue?
Right, yeah.
Like, I'm going to shade you to the masses and see what happens.
Okay.
He releases this track, which Tupac obviously takes personally.
Yes.
Okay, so it's a snipe at me, but they of course claim that it was recorded before anything happened, and they maintain their position that no, we had nothing to do with it.
Okay.
So yeah, shit like this keeps going on. People keep getting shot. There's murders. There's this and that. It's just never ending. And again, remember, this is only like 2 to 3 years that all of this brouhaha is happening. So it's consolidated, and so shit's happening all the time.
And what year are we in?
We are in mid 90s,
Okay.
like 95
Okay, that's what I thought, yeah.
is when all of this is taking place. But all this shit keeps cropping up. So if we fast forward a little bit, so here we are, September of 1996.
Okay.
So what, you were 2?
Like 1.5.
No, you
I was born in June of
you
94.
were born in 94. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So I would have been 8,
Eight?
9. Yeah,
8.5,
okay.
something like that.
Anyway.
Whatever 7 years plus is.
I know, God, math, Jesus. So yeah, September 1996, Tupac and Suge Knight, they are in Vegas. They're there celebrating. There is a Mike Tyson fight that they go to at the MGM. They're hitting up the club. They're doing what you do in Vegas, unless you are me and you take a small child to Vegas. Don't do that. Learn from my
Bro,
mistakes.
I fucking told you that was going to be a terrible idea.
I know.
That was such a bad trip.
That was the worst idea I've ever had.
Poor
in my
Alex
life.
is trying to cheer you up. You are in probably the worst mood I've ever seen you in. I can't cheer you up. I'm getting in trouble for taking a small child on the floor while trying to gamble. Evan is nowhere to be found. Alex is like, I'm just trying to get drunk. It was so bad.
It was probably the worst trip
We have
I've
never
ever
had a successful Vegas trip. You and I.
No, we haven't yet.
I mean, the one with Vickery wasn't bad.
That one wasn't bad. That was the better of the 3 times, at least that we at least
3.
3, yeah.
Because the first time was my 16th birthday.
And I
we were
was 8
heavily
months
pregnant. So I went with my very pregnant sister and my mom. And my mom got more drunk than I did. And then just drove us places. And I thought we were going to die.
To be fair, I went to Vegas with my mom and my boss. So
Oh God, I forgot about that.
who she just happened to invite herself along. So Vegas.
I mean, mom's fun to go to Vegas with. You were not.
No.
And then it really
Oh,
happened.
wait, I got married in Vegas. You were there for that too.
Really?
I know. And I
I saw you for the ceremony.
And I was so hungover.
And then I got locked. Oh, let's talk about this. The fact that you locked a 16-year-old child out of your fucking room in Vegas. So she's drinking heavily, which I did not know. I was
the
not
night
drinking.
before I got
Which,
married.
you know, that's a fucking class A plan right there. So I'm in her hotel room. She's fucking schmammered. And I'm like, I'll go refill the ice bucket. So I take the ice bucket outside of the room. I go fill it up. And I can't find the room. I don't have a key, and I'm like, I don't remember the room number. So I knock on every single fucking door, and like 12 people are like, I don't know who you are, but stop knocking on my fucking door. This bitch fell asleep on a fucking bed.
And I don't know how, but my phone got put into airplane
I'm
mode.
calling her. I'm knocking on doors. I'm getting yelled at by old men. I have no shoes on. I'm just walking around with a fucking ice bucket in the middle of a hotel that I'm not even staying at.
Yes, the shoes.
The shoes will come back to the shoes. So then I have to now wander through the hotels to try to find my hotel. I find my uncle and I said, please help me. So he gives me to my parents. And so I'm just walking around with an ice bucket, no shoes for the rest of the night. And then what happened the next day?
So I woke up in my drunken stupor after both Evan and I had vomited all over.
Because you took oyster shots before your wedding.
Never again. That was all Donald's fault. You know, they went out to the strip club, whatever. You and I did our thing.
You never do the bachelor party before the day before the wedding.
I'll keep that in mind for the next time I get married, okay? But anywho, yeah, so this bitch, she had been good enough to be my babysitter and took me back to my room. Yeah, shoeless, she went to go get ice. I remember none of this because I was snookered. And so when I wake up again, drunken stupor, all I see are some fucking size 10 women's heels. And I'm like, whoa.
Under the bed. They're like partially under the
My
bed.
feet ain't that big. I know he was out with the strippers the night before. So I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this is my wedding day, and this is what I wake up to. And it was just,
It was my shoes.
it was her big ass
It was
feet.
a hooker. Okay, they're
Your
normal size feet for my height.
for your height.
Poor mom. She just told me a story.
Oh no.
Sorry if you don't want another mom. She said she went to a nail salon in town that we used to go to. They were my Stater Brothers.
Oh,
And she said she got a guy, and she's always like, she never has a good experience when she goes just by herself.
Yeah.
They always talk shit or do something to like make her uncomfortable. But she was like feeling confident. She went, and the guy's like, "Wow, you have big feet." And she goes, "Oh yeah,
I'm an
And
Amazon.
he goes, how big are your feet?" She goes, "Well, their size, like, she's like an 11 now, I think, or 10 and a half."
Jesus Christ.
Okay, you're not
I'm
helping.
sorry, Mom. I'm sorry.
And that basically was his reaction. He's like, "This is like the biggest feet I've ever seen." And she's like, "I'm tall. Like, I'm very tall." Which
I have in
which makes
excess
my
of 6
feet
feet, sir.
She's like, "If I was little, I would fall over." And he's like, "Yeah, but like your feet are fucking huge, basically." And she felt so fucking bad. So she gave him like a couple $1 tip. She was like, "Fucking talk about my feet one more time." I felt really bad.
I never feel confident going into
I just
or
got my toes
leaving a nail salon. Very cute.
I got little polka dots.
Oh, those are cute.
Yeah.
I need to start getting my ghetto witch nails again.
Oh,
I
yeah.
miss the noises.
tippy-tappy?
The tippy-tappy. But I type all day. Anyhow. But you look like you were going to say something. Are we going to bring
I
it
said, let's
back
bring
around?
this ship. Okay, I don't even know how we got on this.
Vegas.
Okay.
So Tupac and Sugar in Vegas doing their thing. So yeah, they left the fight, and there was some disturbance when they were in the lobby, I guess, or at the hotel at the MGM where the fight was being held. So there was this guy that was causing some trouble. His name was Orlando Baby Lane Anderson, as you know, Baby Lane was his nickname, I guess.
Okay.
But yeah, so he was causing some shit at the hotel after the fight, and so Tupac and Suge's like entourage or whatever handled the situation, and by handle they like kind of beat the shit out of him.
Okay.
So I'm like, if I got my ass beat, I would not think too favorably of the people that they, you know, were representing myself.
Of course.
So yeah, they were en route to go to one of Suge's like nightclubs that he has in Vegas. So they are in the car.
Suge nightclub.
You're stupid. Sorry, continue. The intersection of Flamingo Road and Koval Lane.
Okay.
I think it's Koval.
I thought it was Cobalt.
Koval.
Nope.
Not cobalt, not blue, the color. But anyway, they're in the car. They fucking get lit up in a drive-by.
Okay.
So
he gets shot in Vegas?
he got shot in Vegas.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Like I said, they were going to the club. They were in their car. Like, they had gotten pulled over earlier for, like, no plates and stuff, whatever. So, like, all of these things happened. Like, if they never got pulled over, this would have happened.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so they were stopped at, like, the intersection, and it turns out, or so they suspect, that it was this Orlando Lane dude.
Okay.
So, but yeah, so he got fucking lit up in the car. They took him to the medical center, and 6 days later, he died. And so he was cremated and all that jazz. Fast forward about 6 years or so, because yeah, this was 96. So 2002, there was an investigative reporter kind of looking under the hood to see what happened. So he's the one who came to the conclusion that Orlando Anderson who was a Crip, by the way.
Oh.
So Suge was a Blood.
Okay.
I don't know why I said it that way. But yeah, so there was some like local gang interaction, and the fact that his ass just got beat by these guys' people, it was kind of being pointed at him as being the one who took part in the actual drive-by. And he ended up getting himself killed a few years later in another unrelated gang accident. And Biggie Smalls ended up meeting his demise as well. And there was some...
Biggie Smalls is dead?
Biggie Smalls is dead.
I did not know that.
Yes. So there was I think he died within like 6 months to a year of Tupac getting capped. The report also implied, not surprisingly, that the Notorious B.I.G. was involved. I mean, he denied that, of course, but like I said, he dead now. Everyone, for the most part, is fucking dead.
Except Tupac.
Apparently. Suge Knight is still alive. His ass is in prison right now for another unrelated... I don't remember what the term I read was, but someone died. So that's why
murder, manslaughter.
It could have been any one of those. That's kind of the background on Tupac. I mean, to me, it sounds like motherfucker got, and he did, but there's a lot of people out there who think that he's still alive. Mm-hmm. And they think that, no, he didn't actually perish from the drive-by shooting in Vegas, that he actually survived and fled the country. Where to? There's a couple different places, as we mentioned, Malaysia, Cuba, New Mexico. Again, I don't know that any of this has any credibility whatsoever, but a lot of people... of the internet fosters and breeds stupidity. That's where all these...
Well, technically it breeds conspiracy theories, and that is what our whole entire podcast is about. So without the internet, we really wouldn't be here.
Oh, we would be fucked. You can't go look up this shit in the library. That's not going to be a microfiche. Like, can you imagine asking a librarian, like, where do I find the history of who shot Tupac?
I'm sure she'd be like,
you know what?
B12, bitch.
Librarians are the tits. They have master's degrees. Do you know that? Like, you have to be educated to be a librarian.
I would surely hope so.
I mean, I didn't realize what a librarian did outside of checking out books.
And they shush you.
Yeah. And, oh, God.
I got dress coded by a librarian once.
Are you kidding?
It was at high school, and I was wearing a Hooters jersey, and she said, I don't think that's appropriate. Go to the principal's office. And I called her a not nice name, and then I got in more trouble.
That sounds
And then Dad had to come bring me a shirt.
And I spent an unnatural amount of time
because you were a loser.
No.
You were the bookworm. I was the person who wore Hooters jerseys.
And so, like, my first year of high school, I went to school across town. Mom and Dad...
The city is only 7 miles wide. Don't be dramatic.
But Mom and Dad didn't trust me to be home by myself because not too long prior to that, I almost set the house on fire when we lived in New York.
With the mac and cheese?
I was making hot chocolate.
It was me that almost set the house on fire with mac and cheese.
See, why am I being punished? Because I had to go to like...
I was young. It was expected.
I had to take the Rainbow Express bus in middle school to go to the teen center. Okay, I have deep scars.
You got to go to the cool teen center. I had to go to Kids and Things as like 7th grader.
Okay.
That's not cool. Everyone made fun of me when I got on the bus. And then I had to make a PowerPoint presentation on, please let my grown ass out of Kids and Things and let me go to the Boys and Girls Club.
The amount of PowerPoints we leveraged in our childhood. I had a whole PowerPoint for why I should get a hamster and ended up getting a rat. But anywho, again, we digress. What were we even talking about before we got to this point?
Biggie's dead. Tupac's dead, allegedly.
The internet thinks he's still alive and well. And so a lot of that, like there have been a couple of images that have been floating around where it straight up looks like Tupac and they proclaim that they're from, Malaysia or Cuba. Even Suge Knight Jr., Suge Knight's own kid, was like, he's still alive. Here's proof and blah, blah, blah. The same pictures have been recycled so many times over the years. So, like, here he is in Malaysia. No, it's really Cuba. No, it's here. So, like, any number of people have thought that he's still alive.
Maybe he's in the same spot that Malaysian Airlines is at.
In the ocean or not.
Who knows?
To be determined. Even like Ice-T, like the rapper and Law and Order actor, Mr. Ice-T himself. So him and a journalist had this investigative show, like who shot Biggie and Tupac? And so they called up Suge Knight while he was in prison. And like this reporter, he's like, do you seriously think that Tupac is still alive right now? And
they're asking Suge Knight this?
They're asking Suge Knight from prison. Like I said, he was incarcerated because death. But he's like, well, you never know with him, with Tupac. So I'm like, maybe he's still alive?
Okay.
Like Snoop Dogg. Everyone knows Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg, Snoop Lion, Snoop Loop.
Snoop Lion?
He went by Snoop Lion for a bit. Do you don't remember this moment in time?
No.
He was besties with fucking Martha Stewart.
I did know
and that makes me so happy.
They're both felons.
They are. And so they bonded over that. I love it. But like he was a really close friend of Tupac. And so he calls bullshit on that. And it was all just chalked up to being amped up for TV. I'm sure it was some weird snippet of conversation with Suge Knight taken out of context that they amplified for the viewership.
Okay.
So I don't know if people really believe that he's still alive and are out there, or if it's just like trolls on the internet having a heyday trying to they're bored. So I'm like, I don't know. I personally don't think he's alive. Like, man has been shot so many times.
Wouldn't that be an argument for that he's more likely to live?
Possibly. I see you, 50 Cent. Like, it happens.
Oh, yeah.
You
got shot in the face.
You can get shot alive and you can live. But, like, he's had, like, multiple instances of getting his ass capped. So I feel like that's going to catch up with you. But I don't know for sure.
That is true.
So.
And then I have a couple.
You have some.
I have a little bit.
Okay.
A little bit of examples of why people believe that he's still alive.
Yeah. What's the why? I always want to know the why. I never know the why.
I'll tell you a couple reasons of the why. So I guess in 2017, Tupac's son Jacob claimed that Tupac was in Malaysia and working on a new album. So that's how.
That's like Suge Knight Jr. Like, were they in?
Maybe they know. Well, they weren't alive then, right?
Oh.
I assume.
In 2017?
No. I mean, when he died.
Oh, no. Probably not.
Well, no.
Oh, they would have had to
that
be alive.
Doesn't make sense.
We're stupid. Obviously, if they were fathered. Okay.
Anyway, in a 1997 music video for I Wonder If Heaven Got a Ghetto, Tupac was shown arriving by helicopter in the desert one day after his murder.
Okay.
Tupac was known for rapping lyrics that referenced plots to overthrow his enemies by surviving being shot.
Okay.
And in 2017, there was a forum called Tupac Lives, which stated that he faked his death and would return 7 years later.
Why 7 years?
I will tell you.
Okay.
So there's a couple different reasons. So Tupac named his last album Machiavelli, ... the 7-day theory. And in Machiavelli's masterpiece, the prince talked about faking his death to fool his enemies. And then he also, Tupac, changed his stage name to Machiavelli once he was released from prison in 1995.
Oh.
So he's like, I guess he was very into, I don't know if it was Greek or whatever.
Machiavellian.
Anyway, on the Machiavelli album, Suge Knight wasn't listed as the record's executive producer.
Oh.
Instead, it was someone named Simon. And in biblical terms, Simon was the first apostle to see Jesus rise from the grave.
Oh. Was it around Easter time? Because it's Easter time!
I don't know. And then it technically took Tupac 7 days to die, even though he reported 6, but who knows?
I reported nothing. I just read what the internet tells me.
According to my research, it said it took him 7 days to die. And on his song, Hail Mary, you can hear someone whisper if you turn it up loud enough. You think I'm dead? Wait 7 years.
Oh.
So that's why a lot of people believed he would come back 7 years later.
Okay.
Additionally, you talked about photos going around. I guess many people believed his autopsy photo was faked.
I read about
because
that.
they thought they cut a still of his sleeping body from the California Love remix video. and they photoshopped it onto an autopsy table.
So there's been other shit like that where they have like video footage of him, but it's like you don't know when that footage was taken. It could
Correct.
very easily have been when he was still alive,
Yeah.
10 years prior.
Mhm.
And like technology, love it or hate it, it has deep fakes.
Yeah, that's super interesting. That's one of my topipics that I'm going to cover
Those
at
are
some point.
so crazy to
It's
me
insane.
because like I have been like almost fooled by some of them. I know you're dead, but that's
Yeah.
crazy. And like the whole fucking hologram thing.
So that was my last and final
Yeah.
bullet point.
The fuck?
So 15 years, 7 weeks, and 3 days after Tupac was pronounced deceased,
That's a very specific amount of time.
I don't know. He performed again on April 15, 2012 for Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre's set during Coachella. So that
Sure.
hologram not only blew people's minds, but they thought, I know it's a hologram, but he still must be alive. And this is their sneaky way of telling us that he's alive. So those are just the couple of the main reasons that people still believe that he's alive.
I mean,
How old would he be? If
he was 25 when he died, and
he was born in...
He was born in 71.
He was old.
He
Let's
was
see.
old.
2023.
He
minus
was
1971. 52. He would be 52.
Oh,
That's not as old as I thought, actually.
yeah, but I don't know. Like if I were in his situation, if I truly did not perish after being shot the last time, I would want to hop a plane and just like get out of Dodge. I would want to remove myself from any potential situation.
Yeah.
I've been shot like fucking 20 times at this point. I'm good. I'm going to go retire in my early 20s or mid 20s, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just, fuck y'all, I'm outie. But I wouldn't want to like cryptically resurface or anything. I would want to draw no attention to myself. So I'm like, I'm not going to be out there hopefully getting recorded or anything. But
Okay. So on the crack scale, what would you give this?
I would give this one, I'm a little torn, but I would give it perfectly plausible and definitely deniable.
Okay, I would agree.
Because, I mean,
You don't know.
you don't know. I personally think he's probably dead.
I think I would agree with that.
But I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't know. I learned about this almost 20 years after the fact.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, who knows?
Okay.
That's what it comes down to. So
That's interesting. I didn't know really any of that.
I didn't either. Again, like I said, we were alive when all of this happened, but
I
we
was
weren't
barely alive.
Yeah, like it was not anything that was of interest to us.
No.
But yeah, so as far as topics of conversation go for next week, what were you thinking?
I originally didn't have a plan, but this conversation made
It
me
spurred
think of
a
a
thought.
plan. I think I'm going to do the Malaysian Airlines.
Okay.
Because there is a Netflix documentary that was just released.
We just watched that.
I watched
think.
half of it and then I fell asleep.
I think I was reading, as I usually am.
You're terrible. No, I normally put on documentary to fall asleep, so it's hard
Okay.
to pay attention to it. But it's I think it's pretty interesting.
Well,
So I
good.
think that's gonna be my topic
Okay.
for next week.
For next time we record. So, anywho, if anyone wants to contact us, we can be reached on our email, which is crackedsistersconspiracies@gmail.com. You can, send us a note, say hi, give us topics you want to cover, or give us some feedback, but nice feedback because we are sensitive ladies. We have gotten some interesting feedback on our Instagram
We
page
have.
of the same name. So we're kind of banking those topics that you guys want us to address. I know we have a Twitter account, again, of the same name. I
Don't
still-
expect anything from
yeah,
it, but it's
no, it's a placeholder. I don't know how to use it. I have said it before and I'll say it again. Twitter is only good for political ranting and dicks. Like physical dicks because they're
there. Like penises?
penises.
Okay.
I
Peni?
I don't know. But yeah, I've stumbled across some things in a search for other things that have led me not to want to go down the Twitter hole again. We have a Patreon. We have it up and running. We have a couple of subscribers already. But yeah, come check it out if you feel like being nice, donate $1 and make us holla. There's a couple other tiers that you can explore so you can get some personalized attention and behind the scenes access to what we are like in our insanity outside of what you hear. So yeah, check it out. And then you can learn all about it at patreon.com/cracked sisters conspiracies. And that's it. So stay cracked, y'all.
And have a great day.